Oh, okay. I've got a really good plot description for this one.
For which one?
The Nutcracker?
Did we see that?
Yeah. We just got done watching it. It's like 9 p.m. In the magical setting of CGI, with British young actors who aren't very good at their accents.
Oh, I thought this was gonna rhyme.
I mean, I didn't have time to write this down, sir.
Pick back up where you left off.
A girl follows a secret path that was left there by her mother, and learns about confidence and how to deal with death and stuff. And that's all. It was so uneventful and unmagical, and it had the worst costume designer I've ever seen.
You're like shooting a shotgun into this review.
Good. The sooner I say it all, the sooner we're done.
So we saw the Nutcracker in the Four Realms. For some reason, it wasn't a musical, or even a ballet, and instead was an action movie.
And just had classic music instead of the complete Nutcracker soundtrack?
Near the beginning, I was ready to talk about how good the music was, but then by like before even the second act started, it was like, no, they're like ruining these pieces.
I would rather listen to the music in darkness than be forced to watch this movie.
No, it's not just that though. They were like messing up the music. And they ruined it by having like a full choir come in and going like, ah! When the beauty of that song is its simplicity. And they were just doing that with every song in the movie.
I want to say that I feel like this movie was made by a 7-year-old with access to too much glitter, and something that you said that's really important is that they took a lot of things we like and they didn't understand how simple and beautiful it was, and they covered it in gaudy, glittery terribleness, and it just doesn't work well. It's not pretty.
We really don't like these live-action Disney fantasy movies. I don't think there's a single one I have liked. And that being said, I almost think this is the best one.
What?
That's not to say that this is good by any means, but what this has above all of the rest is that it's actually filmed well. And that's about the only thing I can say that is better than like Beauty and the Beast or Alice in Wonderland or Peach Dragon, because it has all the same exact problems as all those other movies. It's trying to take like this kind of childlike fantasy, fun for the whole family, and making it into this dark, gritty thing that somebody like Tim Burton would make. And it doesn't work. And the dialogue is terrible. The acting is terrible.
The characters are terribly written.
The acting in this movie was just British people talking. Like, there was no sort of emotions. I saw a lot of people, like, doing things with their neck, like flexing their neck muscles. When you look at who directed this movie, it is very disheartening. It's the guy that made What's Eating Gilbert Grape, and it's co-directed by the guy that made The Rocketeer and the first Captain America. And it's just like, they deserve a whole lot better than this.
Can we talk about Keira Knightley yet?
I wish you talked like the teacher from Over the Garden Wall.
The one that sings?
Whoa, whoa, whoa! No, I'm thinking of the barmaid.
He lurks out there in the unknown. Welcome to our world. Ooh, the beast is out there.
Oh, we got a traveler here.
I know what you're trying to do, but it doesn't sound right at all.
Then you do it.
I know that I can't.
But Keira Knightley can.
This is her most annoying performance.
I wasn't even sure that it was her for a while.
Oh, I knew it right away.
Because it was that bad.
The costumes were so...
Oh yeah, the costumes were terrible.
Cringeworthy.
There's like the flower god guy who just has green mold on his forehead. And then there's the ice guy, and he looks like a rejected version of Mr. Ice from The Year Without a Santa Claus.
He reminds me of like the CGI, is it Jack Frost that's in that one Santa Claus movie?
Rise of the Guardians?
I don't know.
Were you talking about,
I'm talking about the CGI icicle bangs that covered his entire face.
were they CGI? See, that was a problem with this movie and all of these Disney movies. I have no idea how much of this movie was real and how much wasn't. And it didn't help because we did see it in 3D.
I think the problem isn't that you can't tell, the problem is that it all looks fake. Like, the only thing that even looks real is the faces of the people. And because everything else looks so fake and artificial, it makes the people look weird.
Like, even the stuff that was probably real props just didn't look real. Like, there were toys they would hold on to, or like the egg she had.
Yeah, that's it. I don't know.
Should we go over the plot in a more precise manner?
This plot is like so simple and stupid, but also doesn't really make sense all at the same time.
There's a little British woman, girl, thing, whose mother died.
Was she supposed to be like 12 or 21? Because I couldn't tell.
I don't know. My favorite part was how she was able to punch to knock out a 9-foot tall metal soldier.
I think what really bothers me is I know that they're hollow, so yeah, sure, they'd fall over, but then they would just get back up again. Like, they would be lightweight and they'd tumble down and then they wouldn't be hurt because they're so lightweight.
So there's this British child who is like growing apart from her father and her siblings because her mom is dead, and then they go to their godfather's place, who is rich because he's an inventor. And then he's like he's giving out the presents. So she follows her ribbon to her present, but then it leads to like a Narnia world, which was really weird to me because she didn't seem to be fazed by it at all.
Yeah, it was like they were trying to do Alice Through the Rabbit Hole, but it was like too casual and not extreme enough.
There was a little bit of it there where she kind of like looked around first thing, but then she just completely ignores that she walked through a dark room in a mansion and into a forest where there was no sign of any kind of structure.
A side note, I really want to talk about how things like that happened and she was just like, oh, okay, this is a thing now, and she was super accepting of it. And then people would be like, your mother is dead and we need a new leader and we're so happy you're here. And then she'd be like, what? You wanted me to lead? I didn't get that from what you said. Like, she seemed smart and brave and intelligent, and then 2 seconds later she seemed stupid and not confident and completely incapable.
She follows a mouse that stole the key. The key is to this music box that her mom gave her. And then she finds a soldier, and then the soldier's like, you can't go over there, there are mice.
He was really bad at acting.
I want to talk about the mice for a second. They could have done one of two things. They could have done what the ballet does, which is have people dressed up like mice, kind of like Johnny Depp in Into the Woods, how he's dressed up like a wolf. Or they could have made these really grotesque mouse hominids and make them seem kind of like monsterish. So what they instead do is have CGI mice climb to form a bigger CGI mouse. And there's only one of those in the whole movie.
It looks really great, in case you're wondering.
But then, later on in the movie, they have those like real. They have those Russian nesting dolls, but they're like real people. There was just no kind of consistency in the world's logic.
Also, they were trying to claim that all these things came out of toys,
but then like some of them looked like toys, and most of them just looked like people.
Yeah, so like the soldiers looked unhuman and very...
No, the soldiers looked real, but then they were like the toy soldiers at the end.
I don't know, it just was all over the place.
It didn't make sense.
This movie didn't know what it was, it just knew it was going to have British acting, super crazy costumes, and a crazy new world that families were going to totally fall in love with.
Okay, let's fast forward a bit. We get all this introduction, all this exposition, and then it turns out that the villain that everybody thinks is the villain isn't the villain. And then Keira Knightley is the villain. And her motivation is that she doesn't want to play nice. And she uses this device that the main girl's mother created to like turn toys into real life. And then the toys just... It doesn't matter.
Don't see this movie, it's really bad.
Did you like the ballet sequence?
It wasn't even that good of ballet. Like, they were cutting. They could have made it really great. It felt like a high school performance.
I would have preferred if they had just filmed the ballet. Why wasn't this a musical? Why is Disney so afraid to make musicals anymore? They're still popular.
Because Emma Watson as Belle.
The Greatest Showman, as much as we hate that movie,
it's
made so much money. And La La Land won all kinds of Oscars. And Mamma Mia 2 made all kinds of money. Musicals aren't the problem. It's the fact that they're bad. And that's not even really the case anymore. Is it because they need to be dark and gritty so they can't sing?
I couldn't tell you what Disney's trying to do. Because it doesn't make a lick of sense.
They're just copying what Tim Burton did.
Yeah, but it's been, what, like 10, 12 years? They need to move on.
He made Alice in Wonderland a big hit. He brought his style, he brought everything he does to film, and then they just stole it. And they've been doing that for every fantasy movie that they've made since Alice in Wonderland. But the only person who can do something like that right, apparently, is Tim Burton. I don't really get the goal behind making all of these movies exactly the same in look and feel when they're completely different stories in completely different settings from completely different time periods.
They could be doing something new and interesting, but they're not.
Like even The Jungle Book, I would say kind of ripped off Tim Burton's style.
I'd say tone, not style. Okay, I'm done.
But we need to talk more about the Nutcracker.
Oh, he was really bad at acting, and his costume was stupid. And all he did was...
Also, the toy that he came from wasn't black, and that was funny to me.
No comment. For the safety of my life. All he did over and over was like, I'll never leave your side. Let me save you.
This movie was so fast.
Yeah, they had to keep things moving or else you realize that stuff doesn't make sense, I think.
But it wasn't fast enough for us.
Getting away with dialogue strictly because it's in a British accent.
I liked the part where the mice killed all of those soldiers and then they were just never mentioned again.
Yeah.
And the mice turned out to be the good guys.
Things just like showed up and then disappeared and then the movie was over.
I also liked the part where the real soldiers that the lady hadn't made followed her orders and not the queen's.
Directly after she showed she planned on turning them into toys again, they're like, yeah, we're still gonna listen to you. Don't see this movie.
Don't see this movie.
We are begging you.
Please do not give this movie your money.
Disney doesn't need it, and they need to stop making movies like this. So if you see it, it'll be your fault that they think these movies are still popular.
If you really need to see this movie, pay to see a different movie,
yes.
and then go into that theater. And if anybody
Yes.
approaches you and is like, hey, you're in the wrong theater, tell them, I'm sorry, I said the wrong movie. And then the employee will most likely just send you to the right theater because they don't want to deal with swapping your tickets out.
Are we done?
Don't give Disney your money for this anymore. You are not allowed to end another episode by doing that. You need to find a new trick right now.
I don't have that many moving parts. How about a nice sexy hair flip?
You just said a naughty word on my Christian YouTube channel.